Every successful online business or website that you see right now makes use of backend. You don't even know how powerful the backend is. Every website consists of two parts, the front end and the backend. Let's take the example of Zomato. All the UI of the website, these images, the font of the text, the color, the input field, all these things are made with the help of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. That is, these are the front-end languages that makes the front end. And backend is what focuses on databases, storing, managing data, stores the operating syntax of the website, and it cannot be accessed or seen by the user or the client, because obviously then it would be very easy to breach the data. Confusing, right? Let's take an example to understand better. Now for example, if we enter Karol Bagh, New Delhi, then it shows me the restaurants that are in Karol Bagh, New Delhi. If I enter Mumbai, then it will show me the famous restaurants in Mumbai. It shows you the restaurants that are near you according to your location. All of these restaurants are stored in that database. Restaurants of Delhi, of Mumbai, of Chennai, etc. So all these restaurants are stored in the database. If you're from Delhi, it will take out the restaurants of Delhi from its database and it will show you all those restaurants. And not of Mumbai, not of Indore, etc. etc. Now let's understand how all this happened. So any computer in this world that is connected to the internet can send message to another computer that is also connected to the internet. Now you would ask, but how do they send messages? So if you're on a website, it means you're accessing it on your web browser. So web browsers communicate to the web server using the HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. The computer that sends message is known as the client, and the message that it sends is known as the request. And the computer that receives that message is known as the server, and the server responds to the request you send. And then the server sends back a message, and this message that is returned by the server is known as response. Now you will ask that, Naman, can I also make my computer a server? So the answer is yes, but it is always recommended to use a web server because it's always up and running, and moreover it is always connected to the internet, and so there's no downtime. You accessed google.com on your computer. You wrote google.com on your browser and then you press enter. So your computer or your laptop sends a request from your web browser to a computer that is stored somewhere in Google office building to access google.com. That is, you're sending a request, and now the computer in the Google office building that will be called a server will listen to your request, pack all the HTML, CSS and JavaScript files of google.com and send it as a response to your web browser, and you will then see the Google web page. Now if anyone doesn't know HTML, CSS and JavaScript files, so these are basically the front-end languages and constitutes the UI of the page. So these mostly remain the same for a particular website. Obviously Zomato has a particular brand color and a particular UI, and Amazon has a particular brand color and a particular UI for the website. So this UI is basically designed with the help of HTML, CSS and JavaScript files, which are the front-end languages. Okay. Now let's break down the server. What is a server? I use the term server. So let's break down. So this server actually consists of the hardware part and a software part. The hardware part is obviously the computer itself, but these computers are not like normal computers. They don't consist of keyboards or mouse, or basically you can understand it as these computers are specially optimized for performance. Okay, so this was the hardware part. Now computers cannot receive the message directly. For this it needs a software, and we code a software with a programming language. And if I say it more specifically, you will need a backend programming language to build this software that can receive messages from the internet. So to build the software to receive requests from the internet, we require three things: backend programming language, backend framework and package manager. So there are a bunch of backend programming languages. Node.js, which is based on JavaScript. You can use PHP, Python, Java. There are a bunch of backend programming languages. Okay, but it's not that easy to code a backend. So there are a bunch of frameworks that can help you with your code, and these are known as the backend frameworks. Now what are these? So basically web frameworks provide tools and libraries to simplify our tasks. Now based on the language that you're using to code the backend, You can choose your backend framework accordingly, like Express.js for JavaScript, Spring for Java, Django or Flask for Python. Moreover, you would have often heard that if you are creating frontend, you should create it on your own. But if you are creating a backend, then you should consider making use of packages rather than coding the whole thing yourself. So packages are like, for example, in the past as well, people have created the login system or a registration system, etc, etc. So you can take the code and include it in your website to make your work easy, and you can like focus on the other important aspects of your website. So for this you would need something called as package manager. NPM is for JavaScript, Maven for Java, pip or pip for Python, and many more. So this is all about the software of a server. Now when you click on a button or a link, a request is sent to the server, an HTTP request to be more precise. HTTP google.com. In this, HTTP are generally transported over to the server in an unencrypted connection using the HTTP protocol. Whereas HTTPS, in this, HTTPS indicates that a request or a information is transported in an encrypted form and is secure. That's why whenever you use a HTTP website, your web browser warns you that this website is not secure. Do you still want to use it? Okay, so this request consists of the URL identifying the resource that you are requesting. Say you are typing google.com, it will go to the servers of the Google. Or if you type facebook.com, it will go to the servers of the Facebook. Or if you say you are on Facebook and you click on profile, it will ask the server for the profile. Request also contains a method or a function that needs to be performed, say post or delete, get or put, to update the information on the server. Again, let's take the example of facebook.com. You liked a particular post. Then when you click on the like button, it will send a message to the server to update the likes of this picture, and the server in turn sends you the UI of the updated page. Like the like button will turn from white to blue, and if likes are 25, it will turn to 26, and the server will also update the number of likes on the database, so that the people who have not seen the post yet now will see that this picture has 26 likes. And like all of this happen in real time. So the request you send consists of a URL identifying the resource, google.com, facebook.com, etc. So URL identifying the resource being requested along with the method, post, delete, etc. that is there, and may also include additional information, cookies, etc. Now what happens is, these servers are waiting for these requests, process these requests when they arrive, and sends back a HTTP response to the web browser. And if the resource that you are requesting is present on the server, then it responds you with a success code like 200 OK. This is basically a code for success. Otherwise, if it doesn't find the resource, it sends you a message such as 404 not found if the file is not there. 404 not found, you would have often seen this code. So it means that the thing that you are requesting is not found, and hence the server responds with this error. If the file is found, you get a success code, and the response sent by the web browser consists of HTML, CSS and JavaScript of that page, which then can be displayed by the web browser, and you see your website that you requested for. Let's take an example, like whenever you type google.com. So this is the HTML, CSS and JavaScript that the server gives you back, like this white background, this input box, these buttons, etc. Now what happens is, there are two types of sites. Okay, first one, static sites, and the other is the dynamic sites. In static sites, what happens is, these sites deliver the same content to everyone in the world. Okay, these sites does not personalize the content according to your profile or something. They just show everyone the same data, as the name static itself suggests. For example, resume websites or portfolio websites, where you want to show everyone the same data. You will not become Mr. Tarun if someone from Amazon is watching your portfolio website, then Miss Khushi if someone from Myntra team is watching your website, and your skills will change according to the person and the company that is watching your portfolio, obviously. Well, like that would be cool. No, I'm just kidding. So these are static websites where you want to show the same content to everyone around the world. In case of dynamic sites, the response content is generated dynamically. What happens is you can personalize content or items or information according to the person who is accessing the site. Like what YouTube does, what Amazon does, etc. etc. Like my YouTube watch page cannot be same as yours. YouTube will show me different types of videos and you some different types of videos on the watch page, obviously according to our interests and watch history. Now you should know something that is called as database. So database is something that you use to store large amounts of data, which can be anything like the order history or the preferences of the user, information of the user, all the videos of YouTube, their titles, their descriptions, etc. It is basically another computer which stores and manages large amount of data. There are a bunch of databases like MongoDB, MySQL, etc. Now, database is just to store the data, as the name itself suggests. So all the things, personalizing the data based on the user or stored preferences is done by the web server. And after all the calculations and everything is done, it then just takes that certain amount of data from the database and sends it back to the client as a response. Now let's take the example of Zomato. Let's suppose there's this person Manoj who's from Mumbai and he likes pizza. And in the past as well, he has ordered a lot of pizzas. The database actually has all the restaurants that are working with Zomato. That is restaurants from Mumbai, Indore, Delhi, Chennai, Ahmedabad, etc. But the server will compute and calculate all the things that this person is from Mumbai and he likes pizza, seeing your location and your previous order history. Now let's understand how this happens in the backend. Now you open the website of Zomato. So the client side, that is your web browser, sends a HTTP GET request using the base URL like https zomato.com/Mumbai or something like this. GET method. So GET method is used because we are only fetching the data. Say if you would like this particular video, then a HTTP put request would go to the server because put is used to update the existing resource. So in our case, since we only want the data, so GET request would be used. We only want the hotels of Mumbai or the restaurants of Mumbai to be displayed. That's it. That's why we use only GET method. Now the web server detects that the request is dynamic and forwards it to the server. So then the server will do the calculations, and these calculations, I'm saying again and again, means that these calculations are done with the help of data science. And so then the server will take out only that data from the database, that is all the hotels from Mumbai, and in that too the restaurants that serves pizza will be placed on the top. And in dynamic side there are always two things. First, that is generated dynamically, and second, static. Something that will remain fixed like the font and the color, say the height and width of the images. That is basically the CSS and the JavaScript will be the same, only the image of the restaurant, the name of the restaurant, the menu will differ, and this thing we are getting dynamically from the server. So the web server will dynamically add this Mumbai restaurants data from the database to the HTML file. I'll explain it more clearly. Say if we search for Delhi restaurants, then all these things, the width and height of the image, the font will not change. So this is the static part that remains same. And what will change is the pics and the text. That is the name of the restaurant, and all this is HTML. So these things will be fetched dynamically from the database, and the HTML file will dynamically add this data. Like change this name, change the image, and then pack it along with the CSS and JavaScript files that will not change. Okay, so HTML file will change, but the CSS and JavaScript will remain the same because Zomato website has a certain UI, like the font size of the text of these hotels, etc. So in some or the other way, you can say that CSS and JavaScript files are static and HTML file adds data dynamically. After this, it will send it as a response to the client side along with a success response. And say if there are no restaurants of Mumbai included, then the server will not find anything. Then in that case, it will send the default HTML, CSS and JavaScript back to the client with a server error response, and then the web browser will display it. So in dynamic websites, the URL of the website will be same, but the content displayed or returned will differ according to the interests of the person. In case of YouTube, everybody types in youtube.com, but everybody gets a whole different set of videos recommended on their watch page. I talked about post, get, put. So All these different types of requests that a backend allows is called as an API, which stands for Application Programming Interface. An API is basically a set of rules that developers create on the server side to enable programs to communicate with each other. And if you ask something that is not allowed by the API, then the server responds with an error. Now let's understand all of them. So put is used to update existing resource, delete is used to delete the existing resource, and get is used to get a particular resource. So all of these comes under REST naming conventions. And that's why the API that use REST architectural style is known as REST API. Now, backend is not only limited to display personalized content on your website. It is much more powerful in the sense that backend can also send you mails and notifications, or say the updates of your order, and it can even send a notification to the creator that they are running low on storage, or if they see any malicious activity, they can inform the creator. For example, when you register using your mobile number or email and you set the password, then this information goes to the web server to create a new user. And at the very same time, it is also sending you an email that includes the verification link or OTP to your phone number so that you can verify. And so a web server can do a lot of tasks simultaneously. There's also a company Twilio you would have probably heard of that sends emails to the clients. And it is not that you will have to include everything in one database and server only. You can split these tasks and accordingly build the server and database for each task separately. Like information can be managed by one server and database, your email service can be managed by another server and database, etc. etc. And doing this is known as microservices, where you basically divide the task and each task has its own server and database. The web browser can send HTTP post requests to our data server to register a new user, and at the very same time it can send another HTTP request to our email server to send the email with the verification link. Now, the problem is, if you want to scale and if you want your website to be always up and running, you will have to spend a lot in buying all the hardware of the server. I told you server consists of hardware and software. Software we can code with the help of backend languages for free, but hardware, that is the actual computers, you'll have to buy. So one, it's costly, and two, it requires a lot of space. So companies nowadays don't do this. So one solution to all these problems is cloud computing. You would have probably heard of Amazon Web Services, AWS, or Google Cloud Platform, etc. So what are all these? These are all cloud computing companies. What they do is they split a physical server into multiple virtual machines called cloud servers. Then these cloud servers connect to create a single network for hosting a particular website. And by the way, all of these cloud servers are interconnected. Now, the best thing about these is that if the website is getting a lot of traffic, it will spread it across the different interconnected cloud servers. So this helps maintain the site performance. And moreover, web developers or companies aren't limited to the bandwidth, storage or computing power available from a single server. And another advantage of this is they can use additional resources in the virtual environment. Like there's something called as load balancer that distributes the traffic to the different cloud servers that are interconnected when your site is flooded with visitors. And this technology is best for those websites that sees a lot of traffic or social media websites, etc. And moreover, it's more secure. Now, to manage so many cloud servers is obviously difficult. So these cloud companies offer us many things. For example, AWS Elastic Beanstalk. So they will manage all your virtual machines, that is cloud servers. So if less traffic is coming, they will automatically shut down some of your servers. And if more visitors are coming, then they will automatically turn on multiple cloud servers so that your site is up and always running. There are many cloud computing companies and many services offered by them. You can search them and use them. But my personal favorite is Amazon Web Services. Very big websites like Airbnb, Twitter, McDonald's, Netflix all make use of AWS. And that's why it is my personal favorite. Moreover, from a job perspective as well, the average salary of a backend developer in US as of 2023 is $105K as of February 27th, 2023. But the salary range typically falls between $93K and $120K. And in India, it is 7 lakh rupees. But let me remind you again, these are just average salaries, and the highest salaries can even go up to 20 lakhs per annum in India. So by this we have come to the very end of the video, and if you're watching till now, hats off to you, and you are already ahead than most of the people. Obviously not just because you watched my video, but also because in this era of reels and short content, you managed to watch this much long video. And I hope this video was helpful and it answered all your questions related to backend. And I wish you all the very best for whatever you want to do in your life. If you have any queries, feel free to ask them in the comment section below. And until next time, stay happy, keep smiling, and have a good day. It's Naman signing off.